Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Luna Bloomer. I am the founder of Vegan Bloomers. Connect, inspire, and learn is our mission. And our star vegan for today is Sean. So, welcome, Sean.
Hello, good morning.
Good evening here.
It
Thank
is
you for
evening there, isn't
joining
it?
me. Yes, that's why
Absolute pleasure.
it's a bit dark here because I was moving I normally have it in a set space, so but it's 10:30 at night here at the moment, so
Yeah, we're about,
I,
about
I
10 to 9 a.m. on Sunday here.
just
Bit of a difference.
yeah, it's a big difference, but
Yeah, I'm
we got
winding up.
there.
I'm winding up. You're winding down.
Yes.
Let's see how we go.
So let's get started with where you're based, how old you are, and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm based in Adelaide, South Australia. If anyone knows the state, we're pretty much known for our footy teams. I'm in Port Adelaide area that's got a pretty popular footy team. I don't support them. I'm 42. As far as a bit about myself, I work in the electrical industry, have been doing so for half of my life. Too long sometimes, I think. I was only speaking to my sister yesterday, and she's like, "How long have you been in that company for?" And I said, 17 years. And she's like, "Mate,
Wow,
that's a
so
long time." I'm
impressive.
like, "I know." And then she's like, "You must love it." And I went, "No comment. I'm stubborn." So like many things in life, I gravitate towards something and I give it a dedication, and it's probably something to do with my obsessive personality. So I kind of stick with something for a really long time, where I get 100% into it, or 1,000%, some people might say.
Well, that's definitely good for veganism,
which
for sure.
which goes into veganism. So I've been vegan for about 4.5 years, and I hit it at a million miles an hour. Same thing, obsessive personality. I didn't just go, yeah, we'll do meatless Mondays. I'll cut back this. It's for me. It's because of that personality type. It is all or nothing, and I have to draw a line in the sand and go, that was then, this is now, and we just went hammer and tongs into it. And before you know it, I was doing street activism within a couple of weeks. I was
Oh,
joining.
wow.
I was volunteering for some animal charities. I was volunteering for some environmental charities. I was doing everything. I was selling merch to raise money for again, animals again.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So what
Sorry.
got you there? What got you there?
What got
What
me
made you
there?
decide to be
Pretty
vegan?
interesting, actually. It was. I'm not a religious person. I'm not really a spiritual person, although I'm a little bit more spiritual now, I think, for a few things happen. But I think things happen for a reason, and sometimes I think the universe aligns. The reason I say that is my journey was kind of a threefold thing, and it happened over the space of about 2 or 3 days. What happened was, so this is 4.5 years ago, I was extremely unhealthy, extremely overweight, probably 20 kilos more than I am now. I'm about 80 now, 80 kilos. I'm not sure if you use pounds or kilos, but 80 kilos is about 180 pounds, and 100 kilos is about 222, I think, something like that. Fair bit overweight, really unhealthy. Eating a lot of junk food, eating a lot of the animal foods, and I'd been dieting my entire life. I knew that, and nothing ever works. People say this and that. Try this, try keto, try this, try shakes, all that sort of gear. And one day I was driving my car at work, and they were making fun of vegans on the radio. It was some kind of radio advert, and they were just making fun of vegans. It wasn't really like a big dig, but they were just talking about how healthy vegans are. I'd never really thought about veganism that much before. I thought, yeah, that's like salads and veggies, right? I said, yeah, that sounds pretty healthy. I'll do that one day, just thinking in the back of my head. And the rest of that day, it started to make me think a bit more about, oh, that sounds really healthy. We all know that it's not necessarily healthy, but if you eat the right vegan foods, it is. So that was in the back of my head. Later that day, I was scrolling through Facebook, as I do. One of my obsessive things. I've got to know all the news. And a friend of mine, Dave, who had been vegan for quite some years, and I knew he'd been vegan, always used to share like animal rights stuff. And he'd share a whole bunch of videos. And me, like most people probably, would just go, that's Dave, it's his vegan stuff again, let's scroll past, I don't want to see it. Not really interested. I don't want to know about it. You know, if I don't see, I don't know, it doesn't affect me. And then he shared one video one day, and if anyone that has seen it will know what I'm talking about. It's the video of the little baby chicks going down the conveyor belt into the macerator, which, if anyone doesn't know, basically in the egg industry, when a chicken has a baby, it's either a boy or a girl. If it's a girl and it's going to be a layer, it's a chicken that's the breed, which is going to be a layer, right, for eggs. If it's a girl baby, she's kept and she goes off to be a layer herself. Okay, boys, they can't produce eggs, so they become a waste product in the industry. And 90-something% of these boys are killed at less than a day old. Some are kept for breeding, very few are kept for breeding. So about 90% of them are killed, mostly on their first day. And one of the most common ways they're killed is they're chucked on an industrial conveyor belt, and they literally go down the conveyor belt and get dropped into an industrial size blender. And if you think about your kitchen blender, it is exactly the same thing. They are fully conscious. They are not anesthetized. It is horrific. It's something that I didn't know what I was going to see. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. What am I going to see here? And it was only my curiosity that I went, what the hell is that? So I've messaged him and I've said, mate, what's the go with this? And he explained to me what I've just explained to you. And, explained, mate, if you're buying eggs, this is what you're paying for. I'm like, oh, what about my eggs? I'm sure they're not coming from there. And he's like, mate, if you're buying eggs, that's where they're coming from. And I went, yeah, okay. So, mate, I think I'm going to go vegan. I don't know when, but I reckon I am. And he said something. He said, I always knew that you would. That's why I didn't push you, but, sort of take, it was something encouraging, like take your time, you'll get there, that sort of thing. Fast forward for like 24 hours, sitting there on my phone again, and I'm on Tinder, great app, that one. And I saw this girl on there, and when you see a photo of someone and you just like, your eyes light up, and you just go, you see all these girls and stuff, and you go, yeah, she's pretty, she's not pretty, whatever. But this girl, she wasn't just pretty, she just like, there's something about her eyes, it just like, it really grabbed my attention. I just went, wow, she's super, super cute. So I swiped right and thinking nothing of it. Didn't read her profile, right? Went off, get a coffee or something like that, and came back a few minutes later. I'm like, you've got a match. And I went, oh, I wonder who that is. Because I don't swipe right for many people. And I'm like, oh, it's that girl. Cool, let's find out about it. And I started scrolling her profile, and it says, the first thing she says, she's vegan. And I went,
brilliant.
Oh, this is a bit weird.
It's a sign.
It's all this synchronicity. And I just went, it's a bit weird. And to her credit, she messaged me straight away, and she didn't beat around the bush. And she's like, hey, how are you? Yada, 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 yada. And I started talking. We hit it off. We were like chatting back and forth all day. And I thought, this is a really good sign. And I got this instant feeling. I'm like, yeah, something's going to happen with this girl. And I just said to myself, I didn't say it out loud. I didn't tell anyone. I'm like, that's it, I'm vegan. And I just went, I'm going to go vegan from today. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to give it a week, because I don't want to crash and burn and then look like an idiot when I've said I'm not vegan anymore. So I just literally went to the shops and was like, what do vegans eat? And I just literally bought all the staples, and just made really boring food. And I made some, veggie pizzas with no cheese, because I didn't know vegan cheese existed. And I ate like that for a few days. Ended up meeting up with this girl a week later. She's like, hey, do you want to go do lunch? I said, yeah, absolutely. We went and sat down at the local cafe, and she's like, and we talked about veganism and stuff, but I hadn't told her that I'd been eating vegan. And she's like, she goes, I'm going to get the veggie pizza. It's really good. It's vegan. I said, cool. She's like, what are you going to get? I said, I'll get that too. She's like, no, you don't have to. And I'm like, oh no, so I've been like eating vegan for a week. And she was quite impressed.
Awesome.
We chatted and we chatted and we chatted and we talked about veganism for like 2 hours straight. And I was like, this is really good. Fast forward to like 24 hours later, she, you know, like we message each other and she's like, hey, I'm, you know, nice guy and all, but you know, that's where I'll leave it. I said, that's cool. And my heart wasn't broken or anything like that. You know, but very nice girl, but I feel like she came into my life for a reason.
Yeah.
She was like the third sort of,
and the big chat that we had,
like I asked her all the questions. So I went, well, what about this? What about this? Well, how do I do this? And what do I eat for this? So she was almost someone there that was telling me how to do stuff. And for days and weeks after, I'd, you know, like we kept in touch and I'd be at the supermarkets going, now chocolate, where do I get chocolate from? She's like, mate, go to the health food aisle, Sweet Williams. And I'm like, well, do I have to worry? But she's like, oh, Sweet Williams is vegan, yada, yada, yada. And this kind of went on. I went, this vegan thing is not too hard at all. Like it's once you sort of start to get through the nitty gritty, it's actually not too hard. And I thought it's pretty cool. So I started eating really healthy. I was eating whole foods vegan, just without even knowing what whole foods vegan was. It was a whole bunch of veggies, some sort of vegan gravies, I guess. Really, really basic food. Avocado and baked beans on toast like 4 days a week, because like
together.
Totally together. It's to die for.
Wow, that's interesting.
I still eat it here. It sounds disgusting, but it's really good. It's
I'm gonna try it just for you.
Yeah, close your eyes and it's amazing. So I started eating like that, and I just like I wasn't like dieting or anything. I wasn't eating less. I just found that I was getting like, I guess less was filling me up. So lots of potatoes, lots of beans, stuff like that. And without even knowing, I just started dropping weight ridiculously. It was like getting a couple of kilos a week. And just thought, this is crazy. Like this is almost too easy. And in the space of probably, it must have been 8 or 10 weeks, I dropped like 18, 20 kilos. This isn't everyone's experience. My experience was that my energy levels went ridiculously high. So I found that I was going to the gym more, I was walking more, I had all this energy to burn. So rather than sitting on the couch and sinking beers and eating pizza, I was going out for walks most nights and I was going to the gym every other night. So it kind of worked in unison. And yeah, that's the journey. And then I found junk food and then I put on some more weight. and then I went, this is crazy. Took some off again. So yeah, that was the kind of journey. As I said before, like I started getting into activism, did street activism. With a couple of different organizations, animal charity stuff. Yeah, just hit it 100 mile an hour, and it's all I think about now. People go, oh, that's a bit sad. I'm like, actually not really. I still do all the stuff.
It's amazing.
I still do all the stuff that I enjoy. So like, like I'm still into movies. Like I'm obsessed with basketball, so I'm watching the NBA every day, and like that doesn't change the part of me. And it's just little things that I don't do anymore, which I might have done before. So like, you might have even caught me at the horse races, right? Because I'd go there with the boys and we'd get into that, or there'd be like our biggest horse event of the year, Melbourne Cup. I'd put money on that just for fun. Or if someone said, oh, we're going if we're going shooting or something, I'd go, yeah, that sounds interesting. And it's when you start to actually really, so that video that I saw with the chicks, the macerators, that was it started me on a journey as far as searching what else is going on that I didn't know about, that I should know about. So you start to search and it starts to rub off on you, and then you see like the macerator videos, and you see like the horrible stuff in the dairy industry, and you're looking at that and you're going, well, if that's not okay, well then fishing's not okay, and if that's not okay, then mate, we probably shouldn't be going to watch the dogs race, and it starts to affect your whole life. I think in a good way. The people that don't appreciate my life now and the vegan life, they think, oh, he's gone nuts, we've lost him, that sort of thing. But it's one of those things that until you know, you don't know.
Yeah.
And you don't know that mindset of where your mind actually goes and how your mind changes. And people go, oh, you've joined a cult, you've gone crazy. And I go, well, actually, I think I've left the cult. you guys are the ones that actually exhibit cult-like behavior. We're doing the actual opposite. If you get to the nitty-gritty of actually what that means. I feel like I'm now thinking with my own brain rather than doing what I'm told is normal and what's expected in society.
Yeah, 100%. So when you decided to go vegan, how did the people around you like react and respond to that?
Mixed. I probably 2 or 3 weeks in, I went to mum and dad's house and then I got some news for you. And I think they thought I was going to say, oh, I'm having a baby or something, or I'm getting married, or something worse. I've got in trouble or something. But I said, yeah, I've decided to go vegan. And they went, oh, okay, that's cool. And they were pretty like sort of nonchalant about it. That, you know, no really positive or negative. Just, you know, that's good. You know. Other people kind of rolled their eyes. Like, yeah, whatever. Is this your literally? I do remember a certain person that said, "Oh, is this your latest obsession?" And I'm like, yeah, it is. But it's not like, oh, I'm into football now, but football bores me. I'm going to go into cricket. It's literally it's a lifelong thing for me. I appreciate that's not for everyone, but when you know, you know.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, veganism, isn't it? It's about it's a new lifestyle. It's not just some fad, you know, not the real meaning of veganism.
Yeah, it's not like being into a band and then being into another band because you get older and your music choice changes. It's literally a whole life thing. It is literally it is like an awakening. That might sound a bit, you know, pretentious, but I feel like that is. Some of my friends, I'll tell you right now, I did lose a lot of friends from doing it, and that wasn't so much for going, oh, well, you're vegan now, we don't be friends with you. It was twofold. I stopped getting invited to a lot of things, which I was quite thankful for, to be honest. Hey, let's go to a steakhouse. Don't invite Sean, right? That's fine. If you invited me, I'd feel really bad and say, I'm sorry, I don't want to go. I'd feel really uncomfortable anyway. There was that side of it, and that just happened, and that's fine. It's like, I mean, I don't drink anymore either, right? That's a new thing that I've kind of done the last couple of years. I don't get invited on wine tours, and that's fine because that's just natural. But there was the organic sort of moving away from some friends. Some of those friends I still do see occasionally. It's not like we hate each other. We just kind of, our lives
grown apart. Yeah.
I do have some friends that through my outspokenness and through my, I guess, opinions, for lack of a better term, they literally said, you know, see you later. And that ranges from me sharing stuff on Facebook where I start to talk about the horrible things in the industry, and I get the, oh, but what about the farmers, Sean? They've got families, Sean. They've got this. You're not thinking about them. Do you want them to go kill themselves? That sort of thing. So there's that side of it, and you explain, go get another job. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you know, it's terrible that some people might lose their jobs, but the smart ones will transition. No one's in a job for life. If you look back, I've heard this recently that if you go back to industries 200 years ago, something like 95% of them don't exist anymore. But like,
oh, wow.
farming should be, just because of technologies and the way basically technology has changed a lot of jobs. So think about stuff like blacksmiths and leathersmiths and all that sort of thing. It still exists to it, but you know, like, so rare because of technology. Farming can be no different. And then I had like things with friends, like I'll tell you an example of getting invited. This is when I was still drinking a few years ago. I've been vegan for about a year or two. I'd made what they call the liberation, the thing it's called the liberation pledge. I forgot what it's called now. Basically, the liberation pledge is the pledge to say, I will not sit at the same table as someone else eating animal products.
I'm on that.
You are? That's brilliant. Now, people that don't understand why you would make that choice, sometimes it's twofold. For me, it was twofold. Firstly, it made me feel very uncomfortable, like to the point where, and I try to explain it to people, I'm like, would you sit there when I'm eating a dog? And they said, no, that's ridiculous. How dare you make that comparison? I'm like, yeah, to you it's ridiculous. To me, it is exactly the same thing. And they're like, you know, the whole eye rolling, well, you're an idiot, that sort of thing. The second fold is, from a moral point of view, is I don't want to sit there and support that behavior. That was probably secondary, and I did have more than a few conversations with people where I said, well, if we go out, we eat vegan or we don't eat at all. And people go, oh, well, you're forcing me. And I'm like, well, I'm not really. I'm asking you to do something. And I explain the reasons why. And you just get this dismissive thing going, you're being an idiot. You're forcing me to do something I don't want to do. And I'm like, look, it's one meal out of your entire life. If you can't do that for me, then like, do you even care? And then they push it back on you, going, well, if it's only one meal out of my life, then it's only one meal out of your life. So you can sit there while I eat babies. And I try to explain it's not the same thing. You're not actually seeing where I'm coming from. And you explain to them, look, you eat vegan food all the time. Why can't you just move it to this meal that we're going to have this one time? And they're going, because you're forcing me. I'm not forcing you. I'm asking. This conversation happened with a lot of people, and it got down to, look, let's do something else. Let's go do this. Let's go have a drink. Let's go play pool. Let's go do something else. And it was like, no, now you're forcing me to do something I don't want to do. And it's like, it gets back to this, when you say, oh, you're vegans, you're forcing your views on me. I'm like, I'm not actually forcing anything. I can't force you to do something you don't want to do.
No, because they're in control of their own life.
I'm asking you to actually to make a small change for like a meal, or if I'm in the street and I'm doing some street activism, or if I'm sharing a video online and people go, oh, you're forcing your views. I'm like, I'm asking you to watch a 2-minute video. If you don't want to do it, keep scrolling. I'm not. Yes, I can't make you watch. I can't make you care. I can ask you to care, but that's all I can do.
Yeah, exactly, 100%.
But people like to
they get their back up.
They make you out as the demon that's basically, oh, this big angry vegan, he's doing this to me, therefore I can be happy with my choices because at least I'm not a vegan. Vegans are horrible people. So yeah, that was the sort of transition from some friends into others. Probably most of my friends now are vegan, probably 90-something%. And that's
amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it probably is a natural progression. I mean, in life, we go through different groups of people anyway. And our best friends that were best friends in school, we leave school and they go off and do university and we go to a trade or whatever. And you grow apart. And I think this is no different. And it's not like I don't like you anymore. It's just that our lives go in different ways.
Yeah.
And that's not a terrible thing. People might think, oh, it's really sad. And it's like, yeah, but if I'm into something that you're not into, and we can't sort of, and all I want to talk about is veganism, to be honest, and basketball and tennis and cars, right? But I talk about veganism a lot, and I understand that for the average person, they don't want to talk about that because they're not vegan. They haven't seen the things I've seen. They don't appreciate it from my point of view. They don't know what's inside my head. Whereas vegan friends, they do. So I think it'd be more sad if you kept hanging around those friends that you don't have much in common anymore. It's kind of forced.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's life, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, totally. I think that's really amazing to hear that you've got 90%. I've spoke to a lot of people in here that don't even have any. So that's incredible. I would probably say, like, for me, thinking about it, probably about half of my friendships, I would say, are at least vegetarian. So yeah, like, and it does, you're right. I found when I started my vegan journey, especially after I started doing activism, I would just meet new people and they would just turn out to be vegan, and I'm like, oh, and you just attract, and like the energy matches. Yeah. And it's awesome.
We're very lucky. So in Adelaide, we've got a pretty big vegan population. Like per capita, we're probably one of the larger ones. I'm not sure where we actually rate in the world, but it'd have to be up there. We get a pretty small population. Like the whole state's probably 2 million. Adelaide itself is quite small. We're probably like out of all the capital cities in in Australia, we're probably the second smallest. So when a new cafe, like a vegan cafe, opens up, I guess, like, you get this huge run of vegans that go and just massacre it and go and support it. So you meet all these new people and you're just going, oh, you're a vegan, you're a vegan, you're a vegan.
That's great.
So you tend to meet all the vegans. We also have sorry.
Is there quite a lot of vegan friendly places where you live?
Oh, so many. So we're so lucky. So when I first went vegan, like almost 5 years ago, there was a few. There's a few come and gone since then, but there just seems to be ones opening up all the time. And we're spoiled for choice now. And
That's awesome.
like I said before, when like my first meals were all vegan whole foods plant-based, because there wasn't a lot around here, and I didn't know that you could go to like a restaurant or a cafe and go, can you veganize that? And then I discovered the junk food, and it gets a little bit unhealthy and starts to get expensive. But yeah, no, we've got we've got fully vegan pizza bars here. We've got fully vegan burger shops here. Fully vegan, like we've got a new Vietnamese place open up around the corner. I can literally almost see it from my front door. 100% vegan.
Wow.
Vegan cafes here everywhere. It's like we're spoiled for choice. It's every weekend. It's like, which one do I go to? It's just I haven't been there in a long time. I want to support them. Oh, there's a new one open up. Let's go support them, or they'll go broke. So yeah, really sport for choice. So you go there and you see people that you have met before, but you meet new ones. And I love that thing in the street where you'd be like in the street, you'll see someone with like a Sea Shepherd t-shirt or like a Defend Animals t-shirt or something, and you point to them and you give them the vegan sign. They're like, yeah, you give them that sort of thing. Or you drive past someone and they've got like some sort of sticker on the back window of their car, and you give them a thumbs up, and so that happens a fair bit.
That's awesome.
We have a few really big events here in SA, which again gets all the vegans together. The Adelaide Vegan Festival Adelaide happens every October, and we get up to 20,000 people come through that over the weekend in a city that is so small. That's huge. Like 20,000 people in a city in a capital city that's 1 million. That's massive.
Wow.
And to think that they're probably not all vegan, a lot of curious, vegetarian, flexitarian, but events like that sort of get everyone together. I've met a lot of vegans there, and some of them have branched into friendships out of that. So yeah, we have a really good sort of I guess a following here in the state.
That's incredible.
So yeah,
That sounds
lucky.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. So tell me a little bit about your vegan activism that you've been involved in.
Yeah, so I started doing Anonymous for the Voiceless probably, it was really quick into being vegan, probably about 3 months in. And it was like, I think I might have seen it on the telly or something. And I was walking through the mall one day, had never thought about doing that sort of activism, because I literally, and it's a cliche, but when I went vegan, I said, I'm not going to be one of those vegans that go around forcing views. I'm just going to eat some veggies, because, I don't want to get that extreme. I don't want to be like a, crazy person. Walking through the mall, and I saw them all holding their TVs there with the masks. And I went, oh, that's the vegans. And I went, I've seen them on the telly. So I just kind of said to myself, and so I do a lot of photography, and I was doing street photography that day, just in the mall, with capturing just random things. So I kind of stopped, and I'm like, oh, this looks really interesting. I didn't really know what went on. And I'm like, I'll sit here and take some photos for a few minutes, And I started taking some photos, and a girl came up and sat next to me. And I had a vegan t-shirt on, and I kind of forgot that I had it on. And she went, hey, have you seen this kind of thing before? And she looks at my t-shirt. She's like, oh, you're one of us. And I went, oh, I guess so. And she's like, I don't need to tell you all about this, do I? I said, nah. I spoke to her, and she's like, how are you vegan? I went, yeah, like, I don't know, a few hours, just like she went, really quick. And she's like, oh, you should stay around and take some photos. And I went, yeah, I kind of was going to. And so I thought I'd stay for a few minutes. 3 hours later, I'm still standing there taking photos, because it just fascinated me. Afterwards, one of the fellas came up and was chatting to me. He was like, hey man, you should give me some photos. I said, yeah, I think I've got some good ones. You should come and join us. And I went, yeah, maybe. He's like, yeah, look at us online, and kind of looked away online and saw what they're all about, and went, oh, this looks interesting. And I think it was like the week after that, or a couple of weeks later, they had a really big one on a Friday night in town, and I'm like, yeah, I'll go to it. I'll kind of get involved, but I don't want to talk to people, because I can't talk. I'll just stand in the cube and I'll hold like a sign or a telly or something. And I said that to them, and they're like, yeah, all right, just do that. That's fine. And yeah, that lasted. And we went to the next one, and that lasted 5 minutes. And went, nah, I've got to talk to people. I've got to get out there,
Get in
and
there.
I just didn't shut up. And I was chasing people, like, hey, have you seen this before? And how does it make you feel? And just going, this gives you a real buzz, and got through to heaps of people. And I was like, oh, I'm hooked on this. So I've got to do this. I've got to do this 7 days a week. This is amazing. And
Wow, that's
handed out some
commitment.
cards. Yeah, I was so obsessed. And yeah, did that solely for a couple of years. Moved out of that. Kind of moved out of street activism. Got more involved in sort of other stuff. So I was volunteering for a sanctuary for a while. Doing a lot of their photography, doing a lot of their fundraising, doing their merchandise, that sort of thing. So that was taking a lot of my time up. So I was kind of sticking to that. I did that for a while, kind of stopped doing that and moved into, so I've kind of gone a little bit sideways with this one. So I moved in, so I now volunteer for Sea Shepherd. So I'm not sure if you know much about Sea Shepherd, but
A little bit.
it's ocean conservation. I guess it's kind of like, I think anonymous for the voiceless for the sea.
Yeah.
It's 100% dedicated to sort of ocean, I guess marine life. Although there is a lot of crossover with that. So if we look at the number one consumer of, I don't know if people realize this, the number one consumer of of cows in the the number one consumer of sea life in the world is actually fish life. And people go, how does that work? It's like, because it's a product that goes into animal feed.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, not many people do. So that's, I think Philip Wallen says that that vegetarian cows have become the ocean's number one predator. And you think about that going, how ridiculous
That's
is that?
so weird.
That's what it is. It's like it's stuck in there with the corn and the soy and the grain, all that sort of stuff, all chucked together into this ridiculous, unnatural feed that they're given, because these are grain-fed animals, which are the majority of livestock are. So yes, the Sea Shepherd been doing that for probably 2.5 years. So
they're quite new then.
No, Sea Shepherd have been around since 1977. So I've been involved with them for about 2.5
You've been
years.
involved, right? Okay, I'm
Yeah,
with you.
yeah. So I mainly do stalls and outreach. So that's so fundraising. So just today, like there'll be certainly be markets in our city, and we'll have a little stall set up, and we're selling Sea Shepherd t-shirts and hoodies and cups and mugs and straws and all that sort of gear. Every cent of that goes towards keeping our ships on the ocean, so we can fight the fight out on the seas with all the poachers and the illegal fishers and the people decimating our fish stocks.
Have you ever been on the sea to do that?
No, it's one
Would
of
you
my.
like to?
Absolutely, it's most people that join Sea Shepherd, it's the first thing they say is like, I've got to get out there in the ocean. I should have done it last year. I probably might have had the opportunity. I didn't actually. I started to look into it. I didn't sort of go the full hog. Kind of regret it now. Probably should have. I think it'd be an amazing opportunity. But you do basically stop your whole life, because you're out. It's not like you go there and do it on the weekends.
You give off that vibe that you like will end up being one of these activists that's your life, and
probably
not doing your electrician, just focusing on the
yeah,
vegan.
look, it's probably going to happen, to be honest.
Yeah.
It was very. I thought last year it's probably the right time to do it. It didn't happen. Not saying it won't happen in the future. I'm happy to do, and we say that, I mean, the guys, the onshore crew, which is the people that are raising money, the people that are doing outreach, they're just as important as the people doing like running the ships.
Yeah.
Without us, they don't operate, and vice versa. So it's a really important thing that we do. Like, we run stalls every other weekend, pretty much. On those stalls as well, there is a lot of outreach without actually getting too kind of into the V words. So Sea Shepherd is not a vegan organisation. People don't always realise that. The Sea Shepherd message is close to a vegan message without actually being a vegan message. So it's basically, the message is protecting our oceans, eliminating sort of, I guess, unnecessary suffering in the ocean. And you can say, well, what does that mean? You can go, well, do you need to eat fish to survive? No, it's unnecessary. It comes down to that.
So is there a reason why they kind of are steering away from coming across as vegan?
Because I guess it is complicated. When you do use the V word, you literally do put a lot of people off. I think it is possibly strategic, but also it's hard to say. You can't say, well, no one should eat fish, and let me explain that for you. So if I went out there and said no one should eat fish, everyone should eat plants, right? Straight away, people pull holes in your argument. What about the Eskimos, or also the Inuits? The Inuits is the right word, right? Okay, straight away your argument falls down, and I go, well, but I didn't mean that. Okay, so therefore your argument is not about all fish. It's unnecessary. It's the unnecessary eating of sea life, and that gets back into, well, what about? So we do a lot of work off of West Africa, and a lot of that work is working with their local navies and the local fishermen to actually drive out the illegal fishing. And, and a lot of the reason for that is a lot of these communities in West Africa are actually survive from sustenance fishing. And what that means, it's not a big commercial operation. They are literally out there getting fish for their little village or fish for their family. And they may come from an area where farming just is not, like, these are people that are living indigenous lifestyles. They're not in big cities, they're literally living in huts. They are literally living on the land. They don't, like, they're living in places where farming just cannot happen. So the majority of their diet is actually fishing. And it's that whole thing where people go, oh, you know, you vegans, you're so elitist. What about the little village that can't, you know, that they have to have a cow, I have to have this and have to have that. And I go, do you have to have that? And they go, no. So we'll stop using an extreme example, this pig on a deserted island to justify what you do 3 meals a day. So it kind of gets back to that.
That makes sense.
So yeah, so we talk about unnecessary killing, I guess. Look, it would be, you know, in an ideal world for none of it to happen. I don't know how realistic that is when it comes to sea life. You could get into the argument of, well, does that mean that we shouldn't have any livestock anywhere in the world? That's a very complicated answer.
I mean, ideally that would be great, but realistically,
but again, I get back to that, you know, to that person living, in an indigenous lifestyle. Who, they don't have electricity or running water. They're living in literally a desert, and they might hunt to
survival.
Yeah, exactly right. Those people aren't the people we're looking at, right? They are not the problem. They're not the people that are destroying the oceans. They're not the people that are putting these, you know, billions of tons of CO2 in the atmosphere. They're not the people that are decimating the Amazon forest and clearing land to grow products that we don't need, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, they are not the enemy. So,
yeah, makes sense. I agree with that. And, you know,
so
veganism is essentially a privilege.
Yeah, look, it is somewhat. It is somewhat, like, as far as in the Western world, you could argue that. It's hard to argue when you get the privilege argument. It's generally coming from people in the Western world that eat an omnivorous diet, and they'll say, "Well, you're privileged. I'm poor. I can't afford vegan foods." And you go, "Well, that's actually not true."
No.
If you're having a conversation with me on the telephone, or you're on the internet with me, or you're on Facebook, you have electricity.
You have that privilege.
Have running water. You probably have a supermarket. Potatoes are the cheapest foods in the supermarket. Beans are the cheapest foods in the supermarket. It's not till you start to break it down and explain to people that if you have access to buying meat off a shelf, you have access to buying all these whole plant foods, which are a fraction of the cost.
Oh yeah, they're nothing, are they?
Way more nutrition. Even if, you know, people go, oh, but I live in I get I get this all the time from a certain country. I won't mention what they are. Or I go, oh, we live in a food desert because there's not a lot of farming and there's not a lot of this and not a lot of that around us. So if we're buying vegetables, we're buying imported vegetables. And I go, what's wrong with frozen vegetables? And they go, well, that's not healthy. Sure it is. It's like, it may not be as tasty. It may not be as fresh. Frozen veggies, you can get them in the Western world, frozen veggies, like some of the easiest and the cheapest way to actually get good nutrition. Canned beans as well. You don't have to buy like raw beans and then soak them. Canned beans is fine. Legumes, nuts, seeds, all that sort of thing. That's not privileged at all, because it actually becomes cheaper. I mean, you can argue that, yeah, we're way more privileged than those, communities off West Africa or people that live in isolated areas around the globe. We are more privileged than them. There is a scale.
Yeah, that's
but
what I was referring to.
Yeah, they are the people that are arguing with you on the internet, because they probably don't have power, So it's a poor argument for most of the time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So let's talk a bit more about food. So tell me about what's your favorite plant-based food that you love to eat?
Oh, it's not the healthiest one, but I'm a pizza freak. Everyone that knows me knows that. Is it pizza again? Yeah, it's pizza again. So again, we're spoilt now. So every pizza shop in Adelaide pretty much now has vegan pizzas. Domino's, one of the biggest, pizza chains around the world. We've got, every Domino's now has got like dedicated that one that says this is a vegan pizza. There's like about 5 or 6 of them. And you can pretty much veganize any of their pizzas anyway. Nice. That's probably my sort of Achilles heel.
It's your weakness.
It is my weakness, and I've got I've got one just around the corner, and it's really dangerous. As far as if I had to say, well, if I'm eating healthy, I like nothing more than cooking up it's really basic. So a big bowl of veggies. So I'll have like green peas, chopped carrots, a bit of pumpkin, a bit of broccoli, some kidney beans with a bit of salsa inside, so a bit of like hot sort of salsa sauce or something.
Yeah.
Poured on top, a whole bunch of steamed veggies, and then I might have on top of that have some sliced avocado, a bit of brown rice on it. So it's kind of like I guess like a sort of burrito bowl, that sort of thing.
Yeah, sounds nice.
Eat them a whole bunch. Yeah, really basic, really cheap. Like I think I worked it out the other day that I can make this huge bowl, like where I can't even finish it. It ends up being like under $2 a serve, and it's and as far as calories, it's really low calories. So it's this massive bowl that weighs close to half a kilo that I can barely lift up when I'm eating. Might be 400 to 500 calories.
So is pumpkin quite a common fruit in Australia?
Pumpkin, yeah, I think pumpkin's pretty common. Probably comes from the Sunday roast was a sort of a staple in Australia for many years. So every Sunday your mum would cook up, or your mum or your dad cook up like a beef roast, or a lamb roast, and with a whole bunch of roast veggies, and with all the meat juices on top of it. So you'd have potatoes, pumpkin, and peas, and that sort of gear with gravy on top.
Oh, that's interesting.
That became a bit of a staple. So yeah, love that back in the day, and now I kind of have a similar thing, but just get rid of the beef and you chuck extra proteins in there, and it's just as nutritious, more nutritious, and you're just cutting out the animal foods, which is great. So one of the beauties I find with education these days and veganism is the fact that we can still enjoy all the food that we used to eat slightly modified. And I'll cut out the meat with some things, and I'll chuck some beans in there, or cut out the meat and chuck some other protein in there. But I mean, there's vegan roasts now. Only the other day, I've bought a couple of vegan roasts for Christmas. So,
okay, what's that like? Is that like stuffing inside?
It is brilliant. Yeah, so it's like some of them are like soy based, some of them are seitan based, so like wheat the whole wheat protein.
Yeah.
Some of them like a kind of a bread base with a whole bunch of stuff in them. They're really good these days. So you can, if you miss your meat, you can have those now.
Sounds like you're ahead of us. I've never seen, other than nut roast, I've never seen any kind of
we've got a whole
vegan
bunch.
Friendly baked meats for roast.
If you actually get a choice, if you get a chance, go onto YouTube and type Joey Carbstrong Christmas dinner.
Okay.
And Joey goes through a whole bunch of roasts that he's bought and how he veganizes Christmas.
Oh, okay.
It's really quite interesting. And I'm pretty sure, because he lives in the UK for most of the year, I think still. I'm pretty sure he was in the UK when he actually cooked a whole bunch of these up. So I'm sure you'll be able to see the brands.
Okay. Yeah,
Not sure how hard they are to get. he might have been in Australia. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure he was in the UK though. So yeah, like, you know, you can make vegan pizzas now. You can get like plant-based hams, plant-based chickens. Some are
Oh
better than
yeah,
others.
we've got a lot of like fake meats, but
Yep.
roast wise, we
Yep.
don't have pumpkins here really either, apart from Halloween
Really?
time. Yeah, that's why
Okay.
I was surprised that you're like,
Oh
oh yeah,
no.
I eat a pumpkin all
So
the
yeah,
time.
pumpkins
I'm jealous
365 days
because
a
I
year.
love pumpkin.
Oh my God. See, I mean, that could be an example of just, you know, like that's something that you guys don't grow a lot over there. Like, I guess we grow heaps here. I guess we just
Yeah,
take it for granted that that's what, you know, we get it really easily. And you're
yeah.
probably not going to get, you know, there's, so squash, I don't know if you guys but I think so some countries call pumpkin squash. But when we think squash, we think those little yellow things, like the little yellow vegetables.
Oh yeah. Well, we've
They're
got
not,
butternut squash, so like the
okay.
big kind of
Yeah.
like pinkish type
Yeah.
ones. We have
See, we don't.
those.
So they're not very popular here. So it could be a
Oh,
regional
okay.
thing where you guys get a whole bunch of those, and we don't get similar foods. So, yeah, not every vegetable you're going to get in every country.
No,
But like,
no,
I mean,
definitely
if you,
not.
so if I only saw a thing the other day. So if you go to South America, there's something like 300 different potatoes that they have that
Oh
they buy,
wow.
and it's like we have like 5. Like, so you go to
Yeah,
different
we
areas.
have like we only have a few, but I went to a
Yeah,
market not so long ago and I saw different types of potatoes and I was blown away because I've never seen different types of potatoes. But
yeah,
our standard ones are the best ones. Like I tried
yeah.
every one and I wasn't that keen on them. So I was like, it's fine, we're not missing it out.
I'll eat them all. I go crazy for potatoes. People have this misconception that potatoes are carbs, so they make you fat, and it's nonsense. So carbs aren't what make you fat.
No,
Potatoes don't
it's
make you fat.
saturated fat. It's not,
Well,
yeah.
saturated fat makes you fat, and like excess calories is what makes you fat. The beauty about potatoes is when people have potatoes and they think, oh, they make them fat because make you fat because they're starchy, that sort of gear, and carbs. It's not that. It's because the fact that they're eating them with, you know, a 300-gram steak, or they're eating them with cheese on top, or, you know, like it's what else are you eating with it?
Yeah.
If you were to eat just potatoes, there's a guy, it's called Andrew Spudfit Taylor, an Australian guy who actually lost a ridiculous amount of weight eating nothing but potatoes for a whole year.
Wow.
He lost something like 100 pounds doing it, like a huge amount of weight. And the thing about potatoes, you don't actually realize until you try to eat them for 3 meals a day. It's really hard to eat a lot of potatoes. So what ended up happening is you can cook up the big bowl of potatoes, and if you actually measure it out and check your calories through like an app like Chronometer or the USDA, you can actually see that a big bowl of potatoes is something like 400 calories, right? And you go, how am I going to eat all that? And you start to eat them, and number one, it's boring, so you don't want to keep eating them. And number two, it's really filling. So you find that, hey, I'm actually not going to eat, if I eat this 3 meals a day, I'm only going to eat 1,200 calories. So someone like him, you just drop so much weight, and it's a good way of incorporating, I guess, a filling food in your diet without actually putting a lot of calories into it. So yeah, potatoes are a staple in this house. They're great. Love them.
I love potatoes. So,
Yeah.
so is there anything that you like miss that you used to eat before?
It's a good question. I was thinking about one recently, and it's probably certain snack foods. And again, there, you know, if you want a chocolate, there's vegan chocolate. If you want an ice cream, there's vegan ice cream. When it gets down to it, like it's probably like a certain chocolate bar I was looking at recently, and it's one from my childhood. It's Baby Ruth bar, and I don't know if you can see me behind, but the Goonies poster. I don't
Oh
know
yeah.
if anyone that's seen the Goonies will know. It's quite the chocolate bar is quite a big part of the movie. Like that, one of the characters is obsessed with Baby Ruth bars. So I saw them and I'm like, oh, you can't get a vegan Baby Ruth. And I was telling my friend I missed them, and he goes, oh, I eat them all the time. And I'm like, oh, thanks for that. I'm like, oh, I miss that convenience. And he's like, can't you make vegan ones at home? And I went, oh, hang on, Google, so you can. So it's more of a, yeah, you can make it. You can't necessarily go and buy it straight away. And having said that, there is every supermarket now has pretty much got a vegan chocolate section, so you can get ones that are similar. I guess it's just like the little conveniences. I miss Kitkats, right? So KitKat brought out vegan Kitkats like early this year, and they came out for a small run. The vegans went crazy over them. I managed to grab myself one. I had a friend that gave me one. Didn't have to pay for it, which was amazing. Had it, brilliant. Right, they're going to bring that. They're going to do a massive run of them soon, and they're going to be ridiculously popular. So it's getting to a point where all the manufacturers have discovered that, well, there is a market for these.
Yeah, they're clocking on.
So yeah, it is getting less and less what I do miss, because there's so many other options, and it's not like I sit there, on days and just get sad because I miss a certain food, because like I said, you can veganize anything. You can go anywhere and get good vegan food. So what you used to eat before, you may not be able to get anymore, but you find all these foods now that you go, I love this so much better. I love this so much better. Like tofu, right? People look at tofu.
I love tofu.
Screw your noses up. If you have tofu cooked correctly, tofu is the tastiest food
it is
on the planet. Like I have I have tofu rolls at work like so many days a week now, because they're so easy to buy, so cheap. And I literally sit down, I say to myself, there was not a meat meal that I had before this which was as good as this roll. Like, it just doesn't even come close. And people go, you're just saying that because you're vegan now? I'm like, no, honestly, you need to try this. And then they try it and they go, you were right. I'm like, exactly. Like,
yes,
you may be missing out on some foods, but you're discovering all these new amazing foods. Like, if you'd asked me 5 years ago what seitan is, I'd go, yeah, that's the guy that lives down below. Like, it just, but now you have it and you're going, it's brilliant. Like, I didn't know what this was. Or like, certain vegetables that I'm just like, well, I didn't even know that thing existed. Is that brand new? And they're like, no, it's only been around for 10,000 years. And you're like, I just hadn't thought about it before. And what you find is, when you go vegan, you become more experimental and you become more open to looking at other foods. So before, it was like bacon and eggs for breakfast every day. Lunch was like a burger or a chicken salad, and then dinner was like a big piece of steak with maybe 4 peas and a carrot. That's a standard. That is literally the standard 3 meals that most people have most days, with a little bit of variance. So if you track the average omnivore's food, and I was one of them, and I knew a whole bunch of them, they're really similar each day, and they might be tasty, but God, they're boring. And now, going vegan, and you discover all these new foods, and you get new, I've started cooking more than I ever have, because I love it now. And I've started to look at all these different recipes I wouldn't have looked at before, because I wasn't so excited about food that I have been since going vegan. So when people go, oh, it's going to take longer, it's going to get more complicated, it's going to be harder, it's like, it's not. It's the total opposite. You become, for most, this is the most of the case anyway, it's not a hard and fast rule, but most people tell me this, is they get a new passion for food.
Yeah.
And they get more interest, and it's like, well, and I'll buy some vegan cookbooks, and it's like, I'll start at page 1 and go, I'm going to cook that tonight. That was brilliant. What's for tea tomorrow night? You turn the page, it's like, that looks amazing. Let's go buy some stuff and cook that up. And before you know it, you've been through the whole book going, like, I would have never have cooked that back in the day, but because I've had a little bit of inspiration, I've been forced to kind of branch out and try this and try that. And I'm ever thankful for that.
Yeah. I love your passion. Yeah. So was you quite did you eat quite a lot of meat before you became vegan?
Yeah, I did.
Did you find it hard to stop?
No, not at all. Look, I think I've got to be really careful how I say this to people. Is they go, oh, how easy was it to give up meat? And I went, oh, it was basic, right? It was so easy. For me, it was super easy. It literally went from that thing before where I just said, I had that awakening, and I didn't gradually drop the meat out, because I can't do that. Like, it's the obsessive personality thing. It's like cutting back on booze or cutting back on cigarettes. It never worked for me, right? It was, I'm quitting today and never again, or I'm going to have a kilo of meat a day. And so for me, the cutting out 100% on my first day was the only way to do it. Now I went from, I tell people this story, and I drive past this local butcher around the corner from us. And I remember back in the day, I'd drive past it most days, and I'd just go, I remember Sundays. So what I used to do on most Sundays, where I'd go there, I would buy a kilo of meat, and it'd be like, wow. It'd be like marinated steaks. I'd stop past and I'd buy a bottle of red wine, right? And that was my Sunday lunch. And I'd get home and I'd cook up a kilo of steak.
Wow.
And I don't know if you've seen a kilo of steak, but it is a pile like this. And I'd sit there with my red wine. And I'd sit there and go, oh, this is the life. And by about 3/4 of the way through, I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm going to die. And I'd
Not
finish it
surprised.
and I'd go, oh, I'm so satisfied with myself. So, and I'd have days like that. And that was a common thing. Or I'd get, like a family meat lovers pizza. I would smash that myself in about half an hour. Or I'd go to the local, Friday night, I'd go to the local burger shop, the one that everyone knows. And it wasn't good enough to get a value meal. It was a value meal plus nuggets, plus a dessert, plus another burger. And it was just this pile of meat and animal foods. Probably like 4,000 calories, something ridiculous. And I'd sit there and I'd gorge myself and I'd walk out going, oh, I can't move. That felt great. But I didn't even feel great at all. It was like I had this satisfaction. So yeah, look, I ate a lot of meat. I ate a lot of animal foods. I ate a lot of dairy. And so when I stopped, getting back to your question, because I kind of go off on tangents. For me, it was super easy. I will tell people that don't expect those results. For some people, it can be really hard. Okay. There is meat addiction, right? And there is your body getting used to certain foods. So there is the fact some people quit meat and for the first month they feel garbage. And I tell you, be prepared for that. So that's why I say to people, sometimes it is better off to do it gradually. For the average person, it probably is better off to do it gradually. If you want to go, no, I want to do it 100%, go for your life. If you start feeling garbage, look, I hate to say it, but you might find that then, okay, well then cutting it out 2 meals a day or 1 meal a day, or having every week add an extra meat-free day to your week. So on your first week, you're eating animal food 6 days a week. Then the next week it's 5, 4, 3. Before you know it, your body adjusts for it. It can be like something like so your microbiome, right, which is your gut bacteria. It actually a meat eater's microbiome will be different to a vegan's microbiome, and that'll be different to a vegetarian's microbiome, right? And it is all depending on what kind of food you put into your stomach. That's why a lot of people that will like this is a classic one for meat eaters. If they have a big vegetarian meal or a big vegan meal, the first thing that happens afterwards is they tell you, I've got to run to the toilet. And that can be twofold. Number one, the microbiome isn't used to processing all of that, like I guess high fiber food, right? And they're used to like having saturated fat in every meal and animal foods in every meal, which like does block them up. And you chuck a whole bunch of fiber into someone's stomach that's not used to having all that fiber in that one dump. That body just goes, what is this? I can't it doesn't process that well, and you end up going to the toilet like 3 times. That's a common thing that people realize, and then they get scared off and they go, well, I can't go vegan because my body just, like I get diarrhea or my body doesn't react well to it. I'm going, yeah, it's your body changing. And, like, that's why you say you may suffer those symptoms.
That makes a lot of sense.
Early off. Yeah. Like now, I'm I suffered that at the start. I guess suffer was, I thought it was great. I'm like, oh, this must be the transition because I'd read about it. Now, if I accidentally have an animal food and it's happened recently, the first thing I know about it is I just go, my stomach's starting to make funny noises. I'm feeling a bit bloated, or I think I'm in trouble. I need to go find a toilet soon. And it only happened probably 3 or 4 months ago. And it was my own doing. It was something stupid. I went to a vegetarian cafe.
Yeah.
And I ate this massive cookie about this big. And I was eating halfway through and I went, this is amazing. And I'm like, a lot of vegans will tell you this, that they get this sixth sense going, I can taste dairy. And you go, well, how can you taste dairy in a cookie? But you it's something to do with the creaminess. It tastes a bit foreign. So I've messaged my friend and I've said, yeah, so the cookies at this place, which ones of them are vegan? She goes, Sean, they don't make vegan cookies.
Oh, no.
I'm in trouble. And she's like, what did you do? And then she's like, stop eating it. And I said, it's already in the bin. And I just went, oh, I'm going to be in trouble. And within an hour, I don't know, like some of this might be in my head, but within an hour, my stomach started doing like a bit of hurdles and stuff. And I'm like, I'm probably have to find a toilet soon. Those things are going to happen. You're going to accidentally eat chicken. You're going to accidentally eat beef. You go get a vegan pizza. They're going to accidentally put vegan cheese on it. Those things just kind of happen. It's just something you kind of have to live with. And, you might get an upset tummy for, an hour. It's not going to kill you. People get really upset about it. And I have as well. Like I've been fed chicken when I've ordered a vegan meal. It does upset you.
That's awful.
Yeah, and it's like that psychological thing as well as the fact that my stomach might be a bit crooked in a while. I have had other instances, and the chicken was one where I had like a big bowl of dumplings, and I got given the chicken dumplings, and I was pretty upset about it. But my stomach was fine afterwards. I just got a bit angry. So
that sucks. Sorry, you've been through that. I've been fortunate, and that's never happened for me.
Look,
I've accidentally eaten dairy, but not meat.
Yeah, it's good. And look, it's probably got to happen. It's one of those things where if you branch out and you go, well, I'm going to eat at non-vegan places because let's face it, you want to support vegan options, but also it's probably not practical to only eat at vegan places.
Yeah, of course.
Firstly, they aren't everywhere. Secondly, sometimes you want to go eat good food at somewhere else, and 1 in 1,000 times you can get caught out. Almost 4 and a bit years I've been vegan. So what's that like? 1,000, 1,200 days. I've probably eaten 3 meals that had some animal food in it. So really, it's very, very rare.
Yeah.
And, as I said before, one of them was my own doing. So it'll happen.
It happened to me once when I was a vegetarian. We went to this place called Frankie and Benny's, and there was a bit of bacon on my burger, and I was like, I was so horrified that I never went back there ever again because I didn't want it to happen again.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. It's understandable as well. So people will do that. It's really important. It's like I always say to people like people that go, oh, you shouldn't be so upset. I go, well, like imagine if like I was allergic to that food, or imagine if I was, because really you kind of are because your stomach changes.
Yeah.
Imagine if it was a religious thing. So like if I was like Jewish or a Muslim.
Yeah.
And like like the most people go, oh, that's horrible that they got given that that pork. And I go, yeah, it is. That's how I feel. And it's like they go, oh, okay, it's not the same thing. And I go, yeah, it's not, but that's how disgusted I am.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really important that they get the food right. But humans are humans and we make mistakes. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Unfortunate, but it happens. So
it does.
But yeah.
So
there's worse things happening in the world. Sorry, go on.
Last question for you before we end. If you could give one piece of advice to somebody that is kind of on the borderline of veganism, what would you say to them?
It's a very good question. There's probably a few things. That probably the most important thing I'd say is get support, and that is in the way of online support. It is the rate of people going vegan and then going back to being meat eaters is huge. It's not as big as always advertised. But there's been a lot of surveys done with those people that have gone back to being meat eaters, and they say the number one thing, the reason they go back, is convenience, and they didn't know what to eat. And then you say, well, there's a brilliant Facebook group / website called challenge22.com. I'd advise anyone thinking about sticking their toes into the vegan world is sign up for challenge22.com. It is an online help service that helps you make the transition to be vegan and stay vegan. There is health advice, there's recipes, there's meal plans, there's registered dietitians on there that will give you actual scientific advice.
Oh, I did not know that.
There's vegan doctors on there that will tell you this is the science. Don't believe this garbage that you saw on some 5-minute YouTube video that said if you eat vegan, your head's going to fall off. Because honestly, it's not far off some of the things going. If you
Oh, wow.
you don't feed your kids vegan, they'll die and you'll go to jail. But an online service like that, it's 100% free to sign up. It is as much or as little as you want to use. They're not going to be hounding you each day. They're not going to be sending you emails each day. It's a service there that is made to be basically super easy. They tell you where to eat. They tell you if you're going to this pizza shop, order this. If you go into this burger joint that everyone knows, order this. And what about this? What about B12? What about this? What about that? It is really a one-stop shop as far as it is literally the Bible of teaching you how to be vegan healthfully.
Wow.
There is other
That's good to
services
know.
out there. I'd say join some vegan groups in your area. I'd say be careful what you read and what you take in. As I said, there is 1,000,001 people out there that are trying to make money by demonizing veganism. And at the end of the day, you have to look in at their motives, and 100% of the time it's to make money. So it's like, veganism will kill you. Here's my bone broth. Veganism will kill you. Buy my protein shakes, which is full of dairy. It's always about money. Veganism is not about making money. None of us own shares in avocado farms. None of us are, it's the old joke. It's like none of us have got any interest in big broccoli. Like, it just doesn't exist. Look at the motives of people that are telling you information. Be careful what science you believe and what science you don't believe. If it's a doctor from some random city that, saying, well, I'm a medical doctor and I say that if you eat vegan, you'll get gangrene. He's be careful. Like, who is he? He's one doctor. Look at like large health organizations about their stance on vegan diets. The Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, the FAO, the Harvard Dietetics Association. Pretty much every dietetics association across the world says that a whole foods plant-based diet is healthful at all stages of life and can reduce some of our biggest killers. You actually look into, it's what we call the preponderance of evidence, like these big health organizations which represent the science as a whole, not these isolated doctors or isolated health coaches or one-off stories about, hi, I'm Gavin and I went vegan and I became anorexic, those sort of stories. Be very careful about the weight of evidence that you place on something you're watching. There's an old thing about, like anecdotes is a cool story. So if someone says, well, I went vegan and I became a super champion tennis player, might be true, might not be true, but at the end of the day, it's a true story. Look at the big picture. And it always comes back to, when you do look at the big picture, and people that have realized this, that vegan diets, if they are planned correctly, and that sounds daunting, but it's not really. It's just eating a whole bunch of foods regularly, the right foods regularly. They are very helpful. And just careful where you research. And careful, and look, the vegan community can be toxic. Everyone that's been in it a while will say that. Just be careful how much you get into it. Don't, be careful what battles you want to fight. It can be really, sort of mind numbing. I kind of have to step away from a lot of stuff. So as much as I am an activist, if I see an argument come up on, on News Today's website about a vegan story about how being vegan is this or it's that, I don't want to argue every person, because it does actually bring you down. You can go up there and put a link going, well, here's a link to the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, which says some healthy things about veganism. Log off, right? Don't follow it. Don't keep arguing with people, because it does actually wear you down. Worry about, what you can and what you can't do. If you try to fix everyone, you'll end up going crazy. Worry about yourself. Worry about your own mental health. Because like, getting back to it, there are people out there that just want to demonize veganism, and they will argue to the end of the earth to try to prove you wrong. You don't want to argue with everyone.
No.
Have fun. Like, seriously, it's a great lifestyle. It makes you have a new appreciation for animals, I think. Like, I've always loved animals, but it's not until you start to spend some time with some farm animals, or go hang out with some cool like rescue cats or rescue dogs. You start to look at animals differently, going, they're all the same as us. And you start to have this new appreciation of like, I just want to hug every cow I see. Before it was like, oh, he looks tasty. Like I think it changes your mind for the better, and that compassion is contagious as well, I think. And then you carry that over to your human interactions as well.
Yeah, 100% agree with that one. Sure.
Yeah. So don't stress over it. Watch. I'd say probably watch some documentaries as well. What the Health is a great one. It's on Netflix. I think it's on YouTube. Might be on a different service in your country. Forks Over Knives is another brilliant one. Game Changers is my favorite doco of all time. I watch it probably once a week. I'm obsessed with it. Talks about basically plant-based athletes. It's kind of really close to my heart. Seaspiracy, it's more into your sea life, that sort of thing, but it is literally, it all comes back to this vegan message. I'm trying to think what else. Food Choices, if you're on Amazon, is a great doco that talks all about vegan diets and environmental impacts. Cowspiracy talks about, again, this is a Netflix/YouTube one, talks about the environmental impact of animal agriculture. Some of the claims in some of these docos, people try to debunk, and they're going, well, this study that they show isn't true because I've got a study here that shows this. Look at the whole picture. You can poke holes in any study. Look at the whole picture. Take away from it what you will. Make it come to your own realization. Come to your own mind. Educate yourself. That's all I can say. And look, no one's going to force you to be vegan. But once you start to watch all this stuff, you just go, oh, it's the natural. It's kind of just makes sense to do it. And it's just really dumb to continue going with all this knowledge that you have about the health side of it, and then you've got your the environmental side of it, the animal welfare side of it, getting down to really personal stuff like people talk about athletic performance from going whole foods, plant-based, I guess is probably the best way to say it. You will get in most cases you'll get a better athletic performance. Get super personal. Some people talk about sexual performance increasing. It's covered in Game Changers. I recommend you watch it if you're a guy or if you're someone that likes guys. Really sort of a little wow moment in there that you'll know what I'm talking about. Educate yourself. And
Brilliant.
In 2021, honestly, like there's so many resources. As long as you start to research it, it could be something as simple as go onto Google and go, how do I make vegan spaghetti bolognese? Or how do I make vegan burgers? Just like think about all the foods you used to eat and go, how do I make vegan blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And there is 1,001 recipes of everything that you type in. We've never found anyone where it's like, how do you make vegan, focaccias? And you go, no listings. It doesn't happen. Everyone's got it. Every search you have, there'll be 101 options that you can choose. And it's just endless. So
Brilliant.
Use the internet. Use the internet. It's your friend.
Yes.
If you don't have the internet, go to your local library and search vegan cookbooks. You'll find one. How to eat vegan.
Yeah, there's a lot out there. Good
It's
good
easy.
advice.
It's so easy now. Like anyone, and I'd say to anyone as well, like let's say you've tried going vegan or plant-based or vegetarian or whatever in the past and you did struggle with it, I'd say try it again. Like there's the amount of resources that even we have today versus what we had 4 or 5 years ago. It's just so
it's so much.
It's so easy now. Kind of wish I had all these resources when I went vegan. Again, I didn't find it hard, but it would have been how much easier if I did have these. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we're very privileged now to have everything sort of handed to us on a plate. A vegan plate.
Yes. Yes, 100%. Well, thank you so much. Yeah. It's been wonderful
You're very
chatting
welcome.
to you. I've learned lots of new things. It's great.
Yeah, thanks very much. I hope I didn't ramble too much. I tend to do that.
I love when people do that. I love it because it means you've got loads of valuable things to share. Yeah. Makes it interesting.
I hope some people get some value out of it.
I'm sure they will.
When it's something I kind of care about. So start to tangent off and what about this, what about that? So before you know it, it's, man, I've been talking for an hour. So
Of course.
yeah.
So if there is anybody watching in the audience that would like to
Yep.
personally get hold of you, how can they get hold of you?
Absolutely, yeah. So I say this to everyone I meet, and I don't care if you're a meat eater that wants to give me grief. I'll talk to you. I'll send you links. You send me a Facebook message or an Instagram message, and you go, "I love bacon." Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to send you a recipe for vegan bacon. Right. So go hard, go all. So there's 2 ways you can get a hold of me. If you go on Instagram, I'm Sean SEAN _Curry with a Y _photographer. You search Sean Curry photographer, that's me on Instagram. Otherwise, Facebook, I'm Sean C. So that's Sean SEAN C with a CEE. You'll find me. I'm probably not too hard to find, because if you search Sean C vegan, it's going to be a million sort of posts I've had. As I said, I don't care who you are. If you want some help, if you want some advice, even if you want to, give me some grief, send me a message. I'm going to help you. I'm going to try to help you either way. It takes a lot. It takes a lot for me to block someone. So I can't tell you the amount of conversations I've had with trolls that have actually messaged me, and I'll just keep sending them like links and what about this, what about that. Oh, have you seen Dominion? Have you seen how chickens are made? And you send them this stuff, and like, most of the time they'll, just call me an idiot and send me stuff about them cooking meat. But some of the times I'll actually come back and go, oh wow, man, I had no idea. And you just go, hey, it's worth having a chat to people. So yeah, please reach out. I'd be absolutely happy to sort of chat to anyone, and any stupid questions people have, please send them my way, because it's probably a question I've asked and I've got the answer for you like that. So there's no stupid questions. We're all learning, and
Brilliant.
if I can help you learn, then yeah, reach out.
So do you do your Instagram's got photographer, and you've mentioned that you do photography. Do you do that as a bit as a side job, or is that just a
Not
hobby?
really. I used to do it as a side job more than I do now. Now I do the occasional, I guess, more event photography. So if there's a vegan event in the state, I'm photographing it. Festivals, cooking demos, activism events, outreach events. I'm videoing or I'm photographing it. I did do a lot of sports with that. My first sort of step into photography was sports photography. So if you go back to early stuff, you'll see lots of tennis, some soccer, some Gaelic footy, that sort of stuff. These days, it's more of an activism thing. Bit of street photography. Too many photos of my cat, which I'm obsessed with. A lot of animal photography, but yeah, mainly a bit of everything really. But yeah, mainly sort of vegan related stuff now. I have kind of I don't do as much as I do anymore. I've kind of, let's be honest, I've lost a bit of passion for it. It's tough work. People don't actually realize how much goes into it, how expensive the gear is, and
yeah, I can imagine
the editing involved, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's quite taxing mentally and physically. So I still do a little bit. So yeah, you might get some value out of some of the stuff that I've posted on there. So please jump on and send us a message if you want to.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. It's been wonderful chatting to you, and thank you, viewers, for watching. I hope you've gained some value from this conversation, and please do get in touch. If you're non-vegan, you can feel free to reach out to either one of us. I created Vegan Bloomers to, I'm an open book for support. I have loads of resources on our Facebook group, Vegan Bloomers, to come join, whether you're vegan or non-vegan. And if you're vegan and watching, and you'd like to be my next star vegan, please do get in contact with me. You can find me on Facebook, Luna Bloomer, or you can email me, veganbloomers@gmail.com. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you soon. Much love.
Thank you. Go vegan.
Go vegan.